So I wanted to make a little project here about what it means to have a sound mind. Having a sound mind, and while dealing with psychological warfare or dealing with covert narcissism or narcissism from the state, I think it's imperative to have a sound mind in this day and age, where every time you turn on a television or watch a television programming show, they are trying to manipulate people into becoming culturally deadened through mass media manipulation, and they put these forces of darkness and evil in it to continue their agenda of their new age movements and to force their propaganda and place people in a world that's filled with more deadened people who have their spirits drained of anything great. Anything that was real from them from the beginning has been taken out of their value. They no longer carry themselves within that value, and that value has been deadened inside in such a way that tells them that there isn't a way out, and the only thing that they have to do is to be humble and just know this is going on, or know that there's people out there that work in these forces. You can't, they can go ahead and fake that they have the righteous way of life, that they're living right in their morale, and they have, the best people in the community by their sides. They can make it show to everybody that they are of sound mind, but I beg to differ. Everyone seems to be so spiritually biased when we have people all over believing in different things, but on opposite coins of that same coin, really, or the wings of the same bird, so to speak. Everywhere you turn online, they have a hidden agenda at play with social media or other social media apps, where they just force propaganda all over onto people and get people onto different belief structures in different ways, and it's just to make us divide. And we know that if people were actually one with their hearts, minds, bodies, spirits, and they weren't, spiritually deadened in that way, then they had sound mind and reason. Within that sound mind, we know that we would be indivisible here on earth, not just in our own country, but everywhere. So they force this propaganda all over to get people onto different belief structures, so that they divide us up and get people hating on one another for what they believe in. These people have become spiritually dead. They don't understand the severity of what's going on in the world to formulate their own opinion about these things. Next, we have people that just want to be spiritually dead, spiritually biased, and just do what they and just do what they can to live a good life, and do what they feel they have to do in order to live a good life, and just forget about all of the things that people are coming out with or sharing about these kinds of truths in life. That's all well and good, and on the exterior of it all sounds like a good idea. But in actuality, it's a horrible idea to become spiritually biased, because they stop their search for the divine truth. And by stopping their search for that divine truth, they're left to the ways of the world, and the ways of this world will tell you what is true, even if what is true is a lie. And you are going to end up doing and partaking in some of the same thing that the world wants you to be partaking into or going into. They fall into their very own devices and are captured by the movements in such a way that creates more people who are also biased in their search for truth and in search of that divine truth, or in search of God, godliness. When people are being left on their own accord to figure it out, they put their minds through utter chaos, and there is no order to that mind. While on the exterior, they will tell you that they're going to live a good life and be a good person, on the contrary to what a good life entails and what being a good person means. So it has us to define what then is being a good person. What do you use to what can you use as a measure as to what it means to be a good person or not? Do you just follow the crowd and become like everyone else is, all spiritually deadened inside? Or do you have a definitive reason why you want to be a good person? Because the way I see things is that you're going to fall short of becoming the very best that you can be when you're not willing to accept the fact that together we are stronger. When we all do what's morally right, we are going to be stronger on so many levels. We are going to be a stronger community, and we are going to be greater people with greater minds. And sure, even though the battles we face might be tough and tougher than others' battles that they have to face, but everyone's going to go through struggles and everyone's going to go through battles in life. So I'm not making it so that, or I'm not trying to take away that fact that, life is a struggle for those as well who work in iniquity, because those people are hurting the worst. Not to be callous towards them, but they are the worst as far as being spiritually dead. So either way, I'm just asking you where the scale is, or what is the tool that you use to measure what it means to become a good person here. The fact of the matter here is that a lot of people are claiming to be great people on the exterior, while on the inside they're deadened inside, and on so many different levels. It scares me to know even the levels of deadened inside that I've become. So to not channel my own heart work in that way, to ensure that I'm looking at it right and seeing it for what it is, and choosing to be on the righteous path without having to look at anybody else's life. Only looking at your own life and doing better each day that you can progress. That's what you're trying to do, and the lives that you live in order to see the kinds of truths that other people might not see. Maybe it's just so that they don't want to see them. They work so hard to not be able to see them so that they can live as a cage, live as just a liar, live as a deceptive little lure. So they simply don't want to see the truth, and if they do, they want to use the truth to distort your reality. So instead of helping out these people who have been wronged or have been forced through some kind of tragedy in order to understand the kind of world that they're living in, it's simply wrong for these quote-unquote good people to believe that they're actually quote-unquote good people when it's all a huge fake and it's all a huge facade. And utilizing the justice system as something that's to define moral and immoral is wrong. there is no measure within the jurisdictions of the system to be morally right or wrong in that way. And in fact, they are more wrong than anything when they can't. Like, I just had something happen to me, and it's like through the activity of like possibly hacking completely my life. I mean, monitoring incomplete of my life to utilize that data to mess me up in the worst ways. And I mean, if that's not what's going on in my life, then you tell me how all of this evil can come my way in a timeliest of fashion. Either way, there is no community in that fashion. It's all a fake way to act as though your stuff matters when the divine calls us to be his equals. And we know that we aren't being treated as equals. The system is like in favor of itself and patting itself on the back for doing a job done well, but that job works in iniquity. And so I don't care what these people do to shovel money into their bank accounts. If you're doing the wrong thing and you know you're doing the wrong thing, you shouldn't be taking the paycheck to continue doing the wrong thing. You want to help your brother, you want to help your humanity, but yet you want to be a police officer that's going to work in iniquity and get paid to do this kind of work. You are spiritually deadened inside, and I don't care what moral compass you have to put on those righteous pants in the morning and put on your vest and your badge and actually feel like you have any honor about your life for doing the kinds of things that you've done to mine or many others. So it's a bigger calling for just a little bit to have a sound mind in dealing with psychological warfare, because all of these communities are just a fake way to act as though your stuff matters when we know that they don't. Wouldn't you want someone to help you out through your own personal struggles in life? Of course, we all would. Or we all should anyways. But we all don't act like we are anything in life to help out any other individual out besides ourselves. And I think it's quite honestly selfish of people to act like they're such great people, going into workplaces, messing things up for people. It's a huge fraud, and you're a fucking liar. From the exterior on in, I don't care what you portray yourself on the surface levels, it's a lie. People think that there's only stories, fables, allegories, and such coming from the Bible, but what is actually there is a lot of natural sciences and remedies. There's a lot of numerologies. In school, you have 12 grades, and after completion of those 12 grades, you are then graded, and you get your overall GPA, and there's a balance system there. On the clock, you have 12 numbers, and on 6 on each side. 6 hours on each side of the clock. And in that, there is order and balance. In the Bible, we had 12 tribes of Israel and 12 disciples. You have 12 gates in the new heaven. So there's a lot of balance and divinity there that represents order. So what do you think of numerology? You can write in the comments below. You'll find movies like the Da Vinci Code, where they try to spin it in their own satanic ways. But the book of the Bible has a lot of numbers in it. They represent a lot of balance in this earth. The engineers of this world have to be mathematically wise on certain things. And I truly believe that numbers given to us in the Bible have a reason for being the numbers we were given. Because there's a lot of balance people just have to understand on this earth, and I don't think that they understand it at all today. Because there is no balance on the good and the evil in this world today. I think the balance is swayed way more towards the evil. Where a lot of things in this world is standing in that dark, murky, muddied up side of life, and through the occultist's plan over your lives, people simply just don't consider it too much, because this is what they want to call life. They want to consider like what we're living today life. And I just don't think that this is life. This is a dead-end way of life. If this is life, it's no life at all. This is just what people think life looks like, and because it looks this way, they think to themselves, who am I to do anything about it? People just think ultimately that they have no power to change the course of their lives for the better, or anyone else's for the matter. Though I believe wholeheartedly we can. People come to the truth about the things that they have going on in their world, and that light bulb moment goes off in their minds when they begin to throw away these sciences. And if they throw these natural sciences out, or they discard some of the things that we've learned along the way, well, I just have to say that it's because we are faced with a worldview that not many people might relate to or believe is real. We don't have to be thrown away the knowledge that brought us this far, though. Only the education that was wrongfully placed upon us to get us to believe in the many lies that are out there is what we have to discard. We don't have to give up on the order of things, or the natural law, or natural sciences, or natural remedies we are finding out about, because, in my opinion, these are the very things that are creating order in our lives. And getting us to believe in anything different is taking away that order from our lives. And then believe a little bit differently than other people do, you're gonna have to, because it doesn't make you wrong for looking into things. It only makes other people wrong for still believing in the many lies that are out there. Either way, there's truth. And once you're inflicted with that kind of pain that you've been lied to, and you're thrown, or cognitive dissonance, or however you want to look at it, like, it's a very painstaking place to feel that you've been placed into a world that literally is a shit camp for you, does not care about your heart, does not care about your soul, your value at all. People are almost inflicted to become forced or coerced into believing these ways are in the ways of this world, then, because they need you to be deadened inside as they've been. So long as they didn't have to do anything or be called to action, neither should you. So when you want to rise, grind, you're going to be faced with things, and things that people don't want you to know about. These things are going to come to light in the end of the days. So best to prepare yourselves now. It's what I believe. But though these people might be completely wrong, doesn't mean that these people themselves are wrong for believing them. But what it does mean is that we have a lot of work to do out here. If we're ever going to change the course of history that we're on today, where there is just a lot of murky, muddied up bullshit that people are dealing with, and I think it's on levels that aren't just surface. There's levels that are penetrating so deep inside of the system that it's to take away from your actual life. They're targeting people. They're eradicating people. You want to try and do something right in life and go up against the evil. Good luck. As where my life has gone from trying to do many things in my life right. Good grief. When there's just too many tragic events that take place that can only help perpetrate the actual crime against you, that perpetrate the people into believing the so many lies that they're told. You don't have to believe in those ways. Believe how you want to believe. Don't be forced to believe in any which way. Don't let me make you believe one way. Don't let another. You formulate your own opinion. We've been lied to. That's the simplest truth. We've simply been duped from the beginning of time about how our bodies should operate, what helps our bodies, what heals our bodies, what's hurting us, and all of the things that are just out here commercializing that pain and pushing that satanic agenda inside of your bodies. In the natural remedies and in a natural way, anything that's being taken, that value has been being taken out, so that you find stuff that can heal you. Well, you go after it, and you get the biggest picture there. That the things that are meant to heal you now, they are working to make sure that they're not healing, and to make sure that they're still protecting their allopathic treatment plan, even though God science, or however you want to say, like the sciences I've found within the remedies discovered from reading my Bible and searching things, and reading my Bible and searching for answers. I found more answers in natural and holistic healing than I have ever found with allopathic anything. And anytime I've used their system, it's only hurt me. It hurt me in ways I don't think I'll ever be able to get my life back from. So, yeah, any lawyers out there that really want really want to help a guy, try and help a guy that's a targeted individual, because they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They got multiple cases for you. Choose one. How else are we going to get medications or cures when we ignore the very essence of what the Bible is stating when it talks about the very things of what I'm mentioning here? Cures, treatments, mixing natural remedies to help the body heal itself. How can we even recognize these things, or how can we regenerate our bodies to promote actual healing if we are so inwardly focused on ourselves and not outwardly focused on the rest of the world? Or while the rest of this world is hurting, should I say, we're only solely focused on ourselves? In my opinion, it's the very kind of essence that's been hurting us this whole time, on some level or another, and it's just sad to see, and even sadder to watch, and even sadder when it happens to the people around you, and even sadder when it happens to somebody that you love dearly. Okay. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and say, okay. I'm afraid that my work is then never ending, because there's just too much pain in that divine that God has given me or set within me to work on. And even within myself, shit's gotten scary, and even scarier when I try to do things about it for the rest of the world, because the way they got you all, they don't want you to believe in anything of what I'm saying to you, man, or believe that you've discovered anything at all. But in fact, you have, and in fact, you will continue. And in fact, the ways of this world will tell you that you're a fucking moron and that you're deceiving yourself to believe in anything, that your studies have any power at all. In fact, they'll tell you to quit writing. They'll tell you so much so, they want you to stop working on yourself because they need you to stop working on yourself, man. Meanwhile, holistic doctors are dying in droves, and people from all over mainstream are calling those deaths suicide. When it just so happens that some of these people are like face down, bludgeoned in the back of the, bludgeoned in the back with a knife, and pool of red bleeding into the river, or bleeding in whatever. Like, I'm sure they were so suicidal, and they were so on to like curing cancer, and they were so excited to cure cancer that they killed themselves. I'm sure that's exactly how it happened. So I don't care what people want to believe or not believe. I believe that the whole thing is a murder, and it's murder that you're witnessing. And then there are videos or information that's out there being censored and held captive from the world to be able to even look at, to judge for themselves. Okay, what you're witnessing there is a complete and utter disaster, because you're being given an educational system that tells you that we're going to educate you so you can think for yourself. But if there's anything that we deem as this is unnecessary information, or you can't allow people to see this because it's an educational system that says we want to teach you to think for yourself, but when it comes to certain things, we don't want you to think. We don't want you to think for yourself, and furthermore, we don't want you to think for yourself. And if it protects their cabal, their industry, their occultism, their deceptive little lures of a fucking game, sure, go fucking make your fucking dollar. But you're the real fucking peasants, and I don't care how much money you got. You want to bear false witness against your neighbor. That's what it is. That's straight up words from the Bible, and yet we have people bearing false witnesses against you simply because you feel as though you have answers with what pathway you're on, and it is a different path than what other people are on. So sure, you're in a fight right off the bat, because in reality, their path is really truly no different from yours. If you're fighting for God, if you're fighting for truth, if you're fighting for honor, then you're fighting for your neighbors, your brothers, your sister, and your sisters, and not against these people. You're not against these people, but you're very much for these people, discovering what they need to discover, get to the information and the resources that they need to get to, and in order to clear up the many injustices that they've had happen in their lives. Instead of this, though, we find families that are torn apart, who are actually, torn apart in such ways that they don't even see it. They end up fighting each other and not fighting for each other. And if you ask me, this is a tragedy in my eyes, because a lot of folks need to see the truths that some of us are out here and have discovered, and we are simply being killed for discovering it. We are simply being snuffed out for thinking even that these things could be, and some of which we find out are, and some of which we see and we use discernment to realize the sinister attacks before they come. And as far as that goes, the blows are fucking weak, man. I mean, just shit fucking weak. They need you so down and out that they're going to utilize your data in the worst ways to fucking target you and shit. These people are fucking weak. I don't care what kind of money you have. I don't care what kind of horsepower you have in your fucking car. I care about what you have going on inside of the guts, inside of your fucking body, you fucking pieces of shit. Talk about being a fucking moral man. You ain't no fucking moral man. You taking money to work in inequity in this kind of way, forcing and coercing people to living a fictional way of life, a fictional way of living. Pretty much what I've been doing my whole life. Because this fucking thing ain't no fucking fairy tale that I'm dealing with. It's a fucking monster. It is the fucking monster. This is why I pretty much think that no one out here, nobody is out here living naturally anymore, because how could they? I wouldn't naturally choose to write about these things. I wouldn't naturally choose to actually come out here talking about these things. I would choose to do anything other than what I'm talking about and doing right now. I would choose to do anything other than what I'm doing, and the only other real reason is why I'm doing the things that I'm doing is because I feel I'm called to do so. I feel a strong moral obligation on somehow discovering a way to get people to see, as ridiculous as it sounds, the truths that I've discovered, and just how heartbroken I've gotten in discovering it, and all because I felt as though I was being betrayed in such a way. Just leaves you gut-wrenching feeling inside, awfully broken inside. In that order, you just wanted to change. You just wanted to change. You just wanted to be different. You wanted to be treated different. But doesn't mean that just because you have a heart, that other people are going to have a heart too. And just because people show you that they have a heart doesn't actually mean that they have one. Because I didn't want to think that the things that have happened in my life was all caused by my own doing. That's the main goal. Because I knew that it wasn't. Meaning, these things that were happening to me, and not were happening because of me. And rather, that's what they want you to believe, is that you are the common denominator in the story of how things happen, and sometimes that is the case, and I'll own up to the fact that I'm not a perfect person, but just not being a perfect person should not get you into these kind of situations where day in and day out you're put under a lot of pressure, technologically, financially, being depleted in many avenues. My data all of a sudden getting fucking heated up out of my phone, and nothing I can do about it. And then in a timely fashion, it's draining my income. I need the fucking thing to work, and then they know, you know what I mean. In a fashion, they want everyone making money online, because the blackout, all of a sudden you're not going to be able to pay your bills, and everyone's just going to go homeless because they're deceptive. They want to take everything away from you. They don't want you to have anything, and especially if you're on to anything that they're doing to work in this kind of iniquity, because if you're on to anything that has to deal with powerful players in the kingdom of the world or whatever, that wants to rain on people's parade from ever discovering them, you're gonna be forced into situations. You're gonna be forced into feeling and knowing that these crimes are happening against you. Do you not understand what I'm saying? And they're not just little. These are crimes over humanity. These are crimes against you. These are crimes that were meant to take you apart. These are crimes that were meant to kill you. And you ain't dead, dog. So don't let them kill you. So I'm rather doing things on my own in a way that's different, because of all of the things that I feel have been wrong and wronging me in my life, and seemingly all of the time. in a fashion that tells me that is by design in my life. This isn't just evil people being evil anymore. This is just, it's taking it upscale crime, syndicate type bullshit. I don't know. You don't know. But what you do know is that it's something, and it's not nothing. And you do know that it's leaving you in a world that otherwise tells you that we're here to protect you and give you liberty, or find you justice to give you liberty. But none of it ever comes your way. And in fact, the only thing that you get from the system is more disenfranchising, more fuel that you would need to become the criminal, to become the disenfranchised, to throw the towel in and say, well, I'm blacklisted from getting a job, I'm keep being treated like crap, this happens, that happens. It throws people in urban blight, puts people on drugs, and it gets people into criminal activity. Plain and fucking simple. It places people into the care and the hands of the same people that are putting you there in the first place. Inside of the mind and inside of the body that thinks that there is no avenue out. So it's a sickness that needs a cure. And what do we need in order to stop all of the pain that is currently taking place in our world? Ourselves, our own lives. Because I don't know all the answers, but I'm out here to discover them. How else are we going to find reason if we aren't going to open up our hearts and minds to what the Lord is calling us to do? If we aren't going to open up our hearts and minds to what the Lord wants us to do, you're going to fall away from not only yourself, but you're going to fall away from your family, you're going to fall away from your friends, you're going to fall away from reason to even think that we're dividing. And that division is happening within a very planned and strategic reason of dividing. Friends, families, communities, people that can actually come together to make things happen differently in the world, create movements, create businesses, create change. And some people can think that people like us are just crazy for believing that God can call any of us to do any kind of work differently here. Go ahead. But I'm not crazy. I'm just willing to pay attention. That's all. People can think whatever they want to think. I would just rather have an open heart and mind to the things that God is calling me to do, and actually try and work diligently on doing those things. Because after all of that I've been faced with, and where I've been within my own heart, I don't think anyone should have ever been faced with the things that I've been faced with. And I don't want one person to become faced with the things that I've been faced with in this life moving forward. So I'm out here trying to be a voice to the voiceless, a voice for the voices of the future, the voice for the people that otherwise have gotten their voices ripped out of them. I'm just willing to pay attention. That's all. So call me crazy all you want to. In the end of it all, it's just that I want to end pain. I want to end that pain in my own life. And I feel it wholeheartedly. If I was able to end that pain in my own life, I will end it for so many others. So I'm going to continue to fight with reason that I have, with what needs to be said, and on those levels, because there are far too many people being destroyed on that spiritual level, including myself, having been spiritually deadened, living on this planet today. I think it's sad, because I don't call anything we're doing day in and day out in this world life living at all. Sure, it's life moving. Life lived, that's different. Life lived looks differently. Life lived looks protected. Life lived doesn't have so many things spiritually deadened happening to them. Life lived doesn't have to deal with this kind of hacking, torturous behavior coming from the state. Life lived doesn't get set up to being pulled over 5 times in a day and having the first time legally. They should have pulled my car, but they wanted to cost me everything. Everything, alright? You can't tell me that this shit power is not in its control to fucking force people down and out. Good people are trying to do things differently in their own lives. These are shit people that are willing to fucking work in this kind of way, work towards the inequity and destruction of that person's life. A sound mind is that one mind that's within itself quieted. A sound mind can also be an open mind to the ideas that God might be speaking to all of us, and it's whether or not we are alive inside to it, or whether or not we're allowing ourselves to listen or not, be open or not. But we have to have that balance in life with everything that we are willing to do on some degree and on some level. Some people just get a little bit of wisdom and they learn some things and they become overly religious. In my opinion, that is not balanced. When we're going through battles within our world, within our flesh, constantly, and there is no one here that's perfect, but yet we don't have anyone that we can really go and surface with on that level. It's a sham. It's a sham of a religiosity of a person that claims, they're righteous, but doesn't actually go and sit with the weak. They don't actually go and sit with the hurting. I understand at a certain age that you can't any longer because you're hurting yourself. But what did you do in your life? Did you do any of that kind of work? Or did you just ignore it? I bet you that work is calling you around every corner at times, and you're not even. Some people are just so dead and spiritually inside, they don't even care to see it. They don't care to look at it, and when they do, they scoff and they laugh and they move on. In my opinion, that is also not a balanced way to live. When we're going through battles like that, Apostle Paul spoke out about the battles of the flesh, and that's a battle to death that you're always going to battle. That battle is one that you have to battle all the time. That battle is one that you have to take up every morning you wake up to the time you go to bed, and then some. Sometimes battles that can come to you in the middle of the night that no one can discern coming. Those are the kinds of battles that I've been faced with, so those are the kinds of battles that I'm talking about facing here by having sound mind to reason that those kind of psychological warfare attacks can come. No one here can tell you that they've battled this sin out completely. The sin is always going to be there, no matter how righteous you can make your life. Your righteousness is as dirty rags to God. So just remember that. No one here can tell you that they won. They won the battle. In that way completely, 100%ly. The only way that war and that battle has been won is Jesus dying on the cross. That is the only way that humanity has won here. There's no other way out. Because many battles, you're going to have to battle more than once to win if you're going to win it. And chances are that you're going to have to battle that flesh more than once in order to fully recover from anything that has happened to you. And chances are that the more you battle it, the easier it will get with time. And the more you continue with your battle, the better you will get in your battle. And it doesn't even mean that those battles are going to end or come to an end. But the fact of the matter is that you'll be a warrior because you're facing those battles. And the Lord is going to give you these certain battles to face. Hopefully He doesn't give you too many. But, there's certain things in this life that when you go to the Lord, you're going to face. Because there's a bunch of spiritually deadened people out there willing to take money to sacrifice your whole life for what they're willing to do and lengths that they're willing to go to and stuff like that. So we all know we have our struggles in life. I have struggles. You have struggles. Combined, we have struggles. The scripture says that any man that can claim that he is without sin, or that he is perfect in his ways, he is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So we're going to battle. We're going to battle here, and we're going to battle with the struggles. We're going to battle with the tough times. It's okay if we fall short sometimes, but the truth of the matter here is that we're always going to have to take up that battle and go to battle with our own flesh, because we have to find balance in our willingness to fight for the good that we now know that we're supposed to become, like free-flowing rivers of light. Do you see any free-flowing rivers of light coming out of the people in this world? I do here and there, and these people are so bright. They have such great charisma, great personalities, but they're few and far between. So if you do see any people that are coming out in that way, free-flowing rivers of light, protect them. Be there with them. No one's thinking that they can have some perfect life, but they can make it better. Because sometimes it's just in that fashion of making it better and being there with somebody to make it so is all that we need to face certain battles on our own and to do certain special things in our own ways and bring about those special things into your own lives. But without people thinking that they have to go up against these kinds of ways and to not become spiritually dead. They just do. They become spiritually dead. And then they too are the ones that you face spiritual battles with. And especially those who are dead on levels with money. Money is not God. And so people should never choose to live that kind of life and have a love for money and a lot of money if they don't care about what other people are going through in the world. They are spiritually deadened people, and I don't care what kinds of smiles can come across these people's faces. I don't care what kind of joy they get to live. I don't care what kind of lavish lifestyle they get to have, and I don't care what joy they get to feel. If it isn't the joy that they get to feel with the rest of the world around them, and in that way that isn't spiritually deadened by so many things of this world, I'm sorry, but what you are enjoying is your flesh. You're not enjoying your spirit. And if you even pretend that that spirit isn't spiritually sacrificed in a dead way to enjoy that money without the rest of your family, your humanity with you, I don't care what you have. And this calls you Billy Gates and all these other rich motherfuckers out that, if I even had a tenth, a fraction, a fifth, a 1% of what some of these people had, dog, I would make so many changes in the world. Okay, so where was I? If you do see any rivers of light coming out of people in this world, you're wrong for thinking that they have some kind of perfect life, because they're going to come up to face certain battles of their own, and especially those who are spiritually dead with a lot of money. Money is not God, and so should not equate to people that are living a godly life. To choose to just believe that just because they have money that they're about God and they're about that life. If they have that love for a lot of money and not a lot of people, I'm sorry, but these people are spiritually deadened people. And I don't care what kinds of smiles come across their faces because of money. Because they're spiritually dead people and living in their flesh. Who are they without all of that money? Who are they that makes them feel like their life is so great, while there's others that are out here struggling so hard? Who are they really? And I'm sorry to say, but they are spiritually dead people. And I will call out names of people of the elite who have all of that lavish lifestyle, who could give, who don't give. And literally, if I had like a nickel of what as opposed to like from like all of my money, if I were to give someone a nickel and you take all of their money and you give me that same percentage, I would change the world with just that little bit. So it's not okay for me to not do this kind of work when I see there is a huge problem in the world where these psychological warfare attacks have been happening to people who are trying to go into places of having sound mind, spirit, body, and soul, and to bring that kind of fun, that kind of camaraderie where people can laugh and feel the real true joys in life. Because in order to truly feel those, you need to be able to be what I call doing heart work and taking it to those next levels. Because if a person isn't taking it to those next levels, then it's in other words, just being okay with allowing yourself to become spiritually deadened. And at times, myself, I'm guilty of it the same. Everybody, I feel, is. But if we're not stepping up those levels and stepping up our games in that fashion where the Lord is concerned, we're going to allow ourselves to become spiritually dead inside. And it's not okay. It's okay to slip up from time to time, and it's okay to, like, when you're trying to do things right, you're not always going to be perfect. That's okay. But to say that you're going to quit drinking and then every weekend you're going to go out drinking still, you're not trying to quit drinking. You're going to, it's like what I'm getting at is that if you're going to say you're going to try and quit drinking, you choose something else every single weekend that you can, every single day that you can. And then the more you do it, the easier it'll become. But I'm not saying that just because something doesn't happen in a person's life that causes them to slip up, they end up in a bad state of mind, they go off to the bar because they just want to feel something. They go off to the bar and they get drunk, they slip up. Sure, I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the slip up that's most likely to come from ignoring the calls that I'm talking about, where people do become spiritually dead, and then it enhances that kind of spiritual warfare in their lives because you're not aware to the attacks that can happen, and then people ultimately will attack you in these ways, and most likely it'll cause you to slip up, not just from time to time, but to slip up all the time, and to consider that slipping up having fun when doing all of the sinful things of this world I'm certain that in times of, adolescence, sure, you can have your fun, but those things are not fun. You are spiritually becoming deadened inside. And I certainly don't want people to go all the way into the darkened side of things and begin to drink themselves into a coma, or think that drinking themselves to death is okay, because that's what alcohol does to some people. Alcohol will do that because that's what alcohol is. Alcohol is of this world, and it's a spirit. It will create a spirit of drunkenness, and it's a spirit the Bible calls against. Creating that kind of life where you'll wake up. You might wake up, hungover here and there, and you just deal with it, move on. It's, you're living the life of the party, and you're trying to have that kind of life and that kind of camaraderie, but it'll never bring that kind of camaraderie you're looking for. In my personal experiences and my personal opinion, just be careful. Every sip you take is literally spirits you're allowing into your body. Some people are able to discern these and are able to get them, how would you say, like under control per se, but you can only control that for so long, and eventually you're going to be waking up regretting things that you did, things that you said, and the things that this alcohol did to you in your life. So it's certainly going to suck people down and suck that life right out of them. That's going to throw them just curveballs in these days that are coming. People are soaked in their sins, soaked in their fleshly desires. But in order to have a sound mind, you need to have a balance in your life, and you need to be able to enjoy life, but not go off the deep end and just start dining at the table of Satan's table in order to get your fix in life, because that table will deceive you. That table will deceive many, and that table will continue to deceive you, and in fashion that it could deceive you all the way through in fashions. So just be careful. If you're going to drink, use discernment, and please don't become a drunk. Next, there are people out here who feel as though they are targeted individuals that are being gang-stalked, or rather there is some kind of organized criminal syndicate through powerful places in the world that are otherwise there to destroy their lives, pervert their realities for sure. And there are people out here who are willing to do those kinds of actions just for free to create that kind of mind that makes a person feels as though they're a victim of this kind of crime. It is a crime. It's targeting. All gang stalking means is that you have a different task assessment groups who are hired by different agencies or different task groups in general that are set out to stalk, assess you, people who are elect or people who are just trying to do something different in the world. You can become a target, a victim of the stalking behavior. A lot of times it's people who are on the side of righteousness or virtuousness, because it goes up against a lot of businesses that aren't working within righteousness and virtue. They work in iniquity and deceiving people in the worst ways. And if you have a better plan than Google and you want to take it up out in there in the world, I can assure you that if you're going to go up against Google, you're going to be targeted. And people like that just want to do things even people like this just want to be able to do things in a little bit different fashion than they're otherwise being done. And even if it takes it up a notch in their own narrative for their own real reflective reasons, spiritual reasons, they're going to be targeted. People are going to be wanting to take your work down and taking you down. So people will refuse to listen to the status or it's like people that will refuse to listen to the status quo and believe that there's nothing more going on other than what people are willing to even think that is going on. All of these people want to do is just live their own lives in a moral way and have a moral sensibility about them, and have that be able to have their own religious views while living in a world that does not care about them. Okay, so these people just want to be able to care about you, knowing that there's tons of yous out there in the world that don't want to care about us. It's the same thing with Jesus. It was the same thing with Jesus, which is why Jesus was put on a cross. So I just want to say this and just interject here, because Jesus, if he was alive today, he would have been treated the same way by the police of today than he was treated by, the Jesuits back in the day, or who was it? It was basically the police of that time that hung Jesus on the cross. So I want people to put those two things into perspective here, because in living your life in a moral and just way does not always mean that legally you're going to be okay, because these people work in iniquity. You see what I'm saying? They don't want you to be going up against these kinds of bigger deals or bigger issues, because they want their own ways protected while subjugating yours, or anything that could deem them and what they're working on as being cagey, having things to hide from the public, things of that nature, which they do. And as far as working in iniquity, they do work in iniquity. So all these people want to do out here that are dealing with the psychological warfare attacks is just be able to go on and live their lives. They don't want these battles that they're faced with. But these battles have been faced them. They've been brought to them. It's not something that they're doing themselves, is what I'm saying. It's something that is happening to these people. And then the system in and of itself doesn't want to encompass that as being true. Alright, so obviously, I've been faced with a lot of battles throughout my life that made me feel that evil wasn't just evil anymore. It was a little bit more than that. There's evil out there, sure. There's a lot of evil out there, sure. But evil in such a way, I don't know. You guys have to decide for yourself what to believe, but I believe that targeted individuals are coming out with the truth, and they're not lying about at least half of what they're coming out with. So anyway, targets feel as though they just want to live better lives. That maybe they feel morally obligated to do things differently in their own lives, to change those actions and make better choices where they feel they've maybe become a victim of sedation, or a victim of these heinous crimes carried out by perpetrators who just want to proliferate to the authority of a monarch, or of that of a police state. I'll call the gray state, as Crowley said, and was putting together a video. Where did Crowley go and his family? But I want people to look up these things for themselves, and to do their research for themselves, because look, there was no tracks leading up to his house, and they said that he took his own life and after taking his wife and daughter's life. But with what he was working on and with where he was going in life, I doubt that happened. He was working on the movie The Gray State. I don't know if anyone else remembers that, but I believe it was a very profound move to make. And he was a Minnesota guy, Rosemount or Roseville, or I don't know. He was a Minnesota guy. I can't remember exactly where he lived, but you could find that out. He was a Minnesota guy. Anyway, I believe these things are acts against people, but people who experience gang stalking or organized crime are going to have to know what it's going to have to take, and it's going to have to take you to have a sound mind, body, spirit, and soul to the utmost levels that you can, because as the prophets of old say, went through the same things. You're going to be hated for the Lord's name's sake. So you should know that at the end of all of the hatred and persecution, you're going to have your glory in paradise, an incorruptible body and peace, at least in the afterlife. If you don't get to encompass your own body in this earthly life, you will in the after. So, through that trajectory of all of that hatred, persecution, you must find peace of mind right here on this earth, and even while you're being wrongfully treated by these systems, or by the police, or by anybody else for that matter, that is going to come onto you from many different avenues, many different walks of life. And know that you are going through this for a reason. The battle you are faced with is not a battle that is meant to be won by coming to it and fighting one time, and one time you win. Some battles, like I've said before, you're going to need to face many times to actually win. Everything that we see before us on this earth is simply a mirage, and it's not even real. The place where people sell us joy and family and friends and community with our cell phones and our technology, where in actuality they're just trying to work really hard on displacing your life badly in badly ways, and in worse ways, where the inner workings on the things of godliness here on this earth are being in decay. The family unit is not being protected, communities are being faked, and ultimately the true essence of a person's heart is being unjustly taken out of them, or shoved in and locked in such a way that it's hard to get those heart's activities out into the world on display. Even though these are things that are actually going on in your life that might not feel right, or it might feel scary to you right now, you have to come to know that everything on this life is only preparing us for what is to come. And what is to come? What exactly is the Lord trying to give us within those scriptures? He is giving us a truth and a way so bold, and giving us something to look forward to in such a miraculous way, because of all of these struggles and battling that we have to do within and without, like outside of ourselves, with others in the world. That He knows exactly what we'll have to do to overcome sin. He knows exactly what we're going to have to choose to do before we're ever going to get there. So sometimes it's just a matter of us choosing to do those things. So my advice here is just to find out for yourselves, having a sound mind and body, spirit and soul, in order that you can tolerate the kinds of wickedness that is spewing out of the mouths of evil men and people who are otherwise going to be trying to harm you and harm your emotional well-being in such a way that is meant to take you down and take you down to the ground. Rather, they're meant to take you down in such a way that'll put you into that shallow grave, that early grave. Guard your hearts, for they are the well springs of your life. You can even be at a great point in your life and still be facing some of the most challenging tragedy. And it sucks because you might not see the things that are happening in your world around you. Things might not be perfect, but you can still have a positive outlook on the world around you. And how you do it is simply this, is because God promises are to us that He is going to call us out of our sins, out of our worldly ways, and call us to do things differently. So if we take notice of His call and we pick up the phone and do it with gladness in our hearts and in our minds. If you carry that in your heart, don't allow other people to bring down your spirit just because they want to make a mockery out of you in your own life, just as they did Jesus' life. So be better than that. Especially these days, it's hard to take. And especially in these days, it's hard to take, is what I'm trying to say here. And I'm doing whatever I can do to say whatever it takes to say it. Whatever it takes to come out, to be strong. Don't be weak, and have courage to do what is right. Don't be a fool, or be that cowardice. There are far too many people out here simply being cowards all of the damn time. Don't be tricked into being like they are. My advice is just to be brighter than that in yourselves. Try to live out your dreams that are within you, and live in that spirit as God is calling you to be, because it's a lot harder of a path to take than some of these simple, mindless, idiot fools who are following in the ways of this world, and, in my opinion, are all just cowards. Excuse my French. It just makes me really angry to see so many people falling victims to thinking that they're taking a good, sound paycheck for doing something so right and just in the world, when inside, they're just crude. Inside, they're just fools. And I'm not trying to take myself out of this stance. I include myself into this stance and take upon my own accountability here because simply this world is filled with euphemisms that protect the people in their cowardice and in their false ways. Falsehoods. I find peace in the fact that what has been written is going to come to pass. I even ask the Lord to allow these things to come to pass within my lifetime. And yet, and still, because I don't want to see people going through life so utterly broken up inside, and just walking around seeing so many spiritually deadened people, all playing this role of some worldly way, some wicked way, some deceptive way that has no balls in anything anymore to stand up for their fellow men and do the right thing. And I'm gonna tell them what they're doing is wrong. I don't care if you're a fucking police officer. I don't care if you're a fucking judge. If you're doing what you're doing and you know it's wrong, there are far too many people living these days in half of the lives that they should otherwise be living. And what about all of the other dreams that have been killed out there, willing to provoke these things these days when all of the things that is wrong in this world is so prevalent? Good job, buddy. Go accept that paycheck while you fuck up your brother, while you fuck up your lives for other people. I guess maybe you make it better for yourselves and that's all you care about. But I guess I find a lot of tranquility in the fact that I've been going through some of the hardest things in life. Some of the hardest things have been thrown at me in my life. So it took a lot for me while counting on this as joy. Counting on this as bringing me joy in this life. But did I get to experience that? Because it's made me into the man I am today. But I'm not built like all of these other people are, I guess. I just find joy in the fact that God loves us so much that He's going to put you in places where people are going to chastise you so much, persecute you so much, that you can become the kinds of vessels that He wants you to become. It's just the fact that, shall we take more? Shall we be had any longer? There is no beating around the bush about it here. I've hurt in many ways. I've hurt in ways that this world simply cannot even believe a person could even have happened to them to be hurt. Because they simply don't want to think that this world has it in them to be handing over that kind of behavior over into the Antichrist or anti-theism, which has it and all of this world, because these people want to deny the Father, God the Father. And they wanted to make, even in the New Age Bibles, taking away the God the Father and making John the Father. John the Baptist was not what they were talking about when they were talking about Christ's Father in heaven. Talking about Christ's Father in heaven, not being birthed of a man. And it was not a birth of a man because it's taking away the fact that Mary was a virgin and she was impregnated by nobody, not Joseph or whoever they made it to be. I'm sorry if I'm like getting it wrong, if I am, but the part that I'm getting right is that they took away the creation fact of Christ being born of the Virgin Mary, being a virgin. That's partly the reason why it's that way in the King James Version. It's not to be misconstrued, and it's not to be taken out of the Bible. And one day, hopefully very soon, people won't be able to deny the natural law of creation or to deny God the Father in the way that they have. Many times people want to gather up teachers, preachers, and they want to approve of a lifestyle that otherwise teaches life differently from those words that were written within the Bible, the Gospels, even those that are wrong to do. And you can find teachers that are willing to tell you that it's okay, even though it's clearly not okay in God's eyes to do or to even take part in. This is all done where we can find a temporary peace in our own lifestyles, in our own lifestyle choices. And though it comes from an occultist type of place, things that are hidden away, that's all it really means. To be an occultist, that they have things to hide. They're cagey. Of course, we should be looking for the things that are truths coming from God and not succumbing to the ways of this world and the wickedness of this world, that we are finding many lies out here to believe to or to believe in, and people that are clinging to lies that we call truth when we clearly see these aren't truths at all. There are false idols and there are false teachers teaching you these ways. We also have prophets, I do believe, that live among us today, but if they do not align with the natural law or the commandments that He gave men, it does not align with the order of divinity, peace, and truth. And then you've got to you have that to cast out as well. Straight up, bind that demon in chains and cast that out with sustenance and prayer, and take it into your prayer life. This is what heart work is about. You not only have to consider your thoughts as divinity, but in the ways that you are willing to think, in the ways that you're allowing your mind to think. But you have to also protect those thoughts so that they do not become dark. Because once you allow the one dark thought and encompass those dark thoughts, they grow and they fester, they become bigger, and then all of a sudden you're living in a darkness that nobody else can see but you. You have to be able to cast that off, and God willing, ask God, cast these wickedness away. Believe in your heart and it shall be done. You have to find a way to find joy in the balance of this world, because there are many things of this world that want to cast demons upon people and get people into the occultist's way of life and living, because these people who don't want virtuous people around anymore want to fail you, and they want to bring you to hell with them. Also, you have to consider the fact that foods and drinks should be regarded as a source of strength and nourishment for your bodies, your spirits, and your souls. Without eating and drinking right, we are simply allowing our bodies to be sickened by the ways of the world, and in it, there are many ways that people are polluting their bodies, including myself. And I'm still guilty of it today. I'm just speaking what I have on my tongue to speak. And even if I don't know all of the truth here, it's because I've been influenced by highly stimulated foods all of my life that taste really good and are actually doing my body no justice. The genetically modified are highly concentrated foods that aren't even real foods anymore. What are we eating? Processed foods that are food-like products but aren't food, that are sickening our bodies, sickening our healths, and should otherwise, frankly, scare the shit out of people into learning about, excuse my French, but to learn about what it takes to heal the body and even cure the body from diseases like cancer. In other words, we should have to maintain our health and spirit in a balance with nature so that we can exist and coexist to become better people and to house ourselves accountable to keep up with those things that bring us real happiness, true joy, and brings that feeling within our bodies, because that's the feeling I most miss. Is that, how would you say, like, you almost like get those chills, like, oh hell yeah. That's the feeling that we could carry out with what God is trying to call upon us to do. And without that, I don't feel like we can encompass that body. We can't encompass that here on earth. And I think it's sad that we can't. I mean, you might want to keep a few lemon trees around or a few lime trees around in your land. You don't have pesticide spray to keep them around. Don't spray them is what I'm saying. Use the sustenance that's from your from within those in an organic way and within your families' bodies, because of the healing properties that are found in these kinds of foods. So in this, to have a sound mind, you have to find order and balance. Because without order and balance, you have no order in your mind. You have no sound mind. Without that order and balance, and that's oftentimes what I've been dealt with things that I've been faced with my own heart's work. You have to follow the rules in order to have peace in this life. Or you have to have rules to follow, I should say, to have peace in this life. Because without that compass or tool to measure what it means to be that quote-unquote good person, you're going to fall short of the glory just as much as we've all witnessed ourselves throughout time falling short of the glory of God. We've all fallen very short in these days. Some people might say that being a good person is easy, and that all we have to do is have a good understanding of what it means to be a good person, and then, just choose to do good. You don't need religion. You don't need God. You don't need spirituality. You don't need belief. And I speak on the contrary to that belief, because I don't think that we do know. I don't think that we do know love. Because if God is love, then God is what we don't know. I don't think that we know or currently live by the commandments of the natural laws of creation in and of itself to be quote-unquote good people these days. If we're utilizing the justice system, and we're able to utilize the justice system to tarnish people's lives in an otherwise explorative fashion, per se, of being a targeted individual. I mean, I guess, like, there's a bunch of people that want to utilize their newest technology and can't wait to use it on whoever they want. So we're not simply going to live in We're simply not going to live in accordance with the Word of God and the Gospels, and many people are willing to sacrifice their whole life altar in order to live in a carnal way and just live in the flesh. And that's what it says. It says we're not going to even care that there is a God, or if there is a God, and even if they know God, they're going to work highly in iniquity against God, sacrificing their whole life on that altar in that way. There is no God then for them. There is a God, I can assure you that there is, but I'm not going to sit here and try to prove it to anyone. Go ahead, live your life as though there is no God. People claim that they cannot believe in a God they don't see, or they can't believe in anything that's not tangible, yet they still believe in the teachings of a school system on evolution, even though they can't necessarily see it. Or they haven't been able to take it to the end of that place either, to be able to prove it. And so, deny God all you want, folks, and believe in those lies that we're all regurgitating in school systems and shit. But God is real, and natural law is real. In my mind, man's law is relentless and will stop at nothing to turn great men into cowards and great men into evil men, sacrificing that heart's value for whatever value they can create in their bank account. And I don't care what your bank account holds, because in your spirit you are poor. But it's society that's failing its people in the worst ways, and sometimes it's not even the people failing themselves, but rather people that have been just dealt with enough crazy things in their life that just end up succumbing to the ways of this world in order to feel comfortable with the lies that they believe. But just because people are comfortable with the lies that they believe doesn't mean that they are comfortable with the lives that they actually lead. A good person can be a good person while falling victim to one of the 7 deadliest sins, or maybe even all of the 7 deadly sins. A good person might be performing witchcraft on their bodies because they've been so programmed into society, not having all of the answers into their own health, that the doctors are prescribing them medications that they might not even be aware of the fact that they're performing witchcraft on their own bodies, taking the pills, going into the shower, putting on a bunch of chemicals, scrubbing down, while on the surface level it all looks well and good. But we all want people around us who want to speak positive, and a lot of these witches speak very highly, or mediums of palm readers, spiritual healers, psychics who practice with stones and crystals, all that kind of stuff. These are great people on the surface level, and these are great people. They use positive words, they have positive means inside of themselves that use sound mind when speaking to these people. They have sound mind and reason about them. People will cleave to that when they seem to have a certain character about them. They seem to be charismatic about their situation. People do. They cleave to that. They want that. These people might outwardly show that they're of sound mind, but some of these people go to bed at night and experience sleep paralysis, which is really a demon possession. Some of these people go to bed at night dealing with the worst demons. This is where people, upon waking up or falling asleep, cannot move or are unable to speak. I don't know if anyone else has felt anything like that before, but I've felt that I wasn't able to speak many times that I've wanted to and even needed to be placed in such a way where it left me imbalanced and in a further imbalance in my future, because that imbalance only progressed and progressed. It never got better. So I had to get rid of certain things in my life in order to even be able to face the fear of coming out here and being able to speak on things. That to me is sad, because people have voices. They haven't been able to channel the balance enough to be able to utilize them, and that's where I was. And that to me is sad. People shouldn't be in that state of mind that allows them that fear of chaos, of their mind's battle, to not be able to face those things and be able to come out in a way that's feeling balanced, in a way that's feeling okay with who they are, okay to come out and face those battles and the problems in their life. And yet, if they don't light their candles, and if they don't if they don't communicate with their lives in that way, all hell will break loose. So some people are just seeing what the devil wants them to see. Some of those people are outwardly beautiful people, just really gorgeous and blessed with the outward appearances, but inwardly they're destroyed on a soul level. They're just broken spirits and spiritually deadened people. And some try to embrace that kind of lifestyle, and they embrace it wholeheartedly, and all hell breaks loose in their lives, and they have no sound mind whatsoever. And now your whole life is in shambles because you're spiritually biased, and you stayed spiritually biased. So my message in this is to continue to study the truth, to continue to show yourselves self-approval, self-love, self-care, but do not let it disenfranchise you from having or getting to experience joy in your lives, to have a good time while you are on this earth, because there are many people that are just trying to face you with unnoticeable changes in your life that'll face you up so bad and stand you up so badly. So someone's got to say something about it. I'm choosing to. You and I are ending up having to face those things so hard. Those kinds of demons come into our way so hard, so rough. So all I'm trying to do is just tell people to show up to that fight, grind outwardly in a right way, and have a good time in life. Make a good time doing it. If it's a grind that you've been battled with, make something, sing things out of your heart, sing a song so badly that it'll make even the easiest crowd boo. Who cares? Are you enjoying life? Forget all the naysayers, and just because you're on a spiritual path of truth doesn't mean that you have to end your own fun in life. F that. Have fun in your life. Don't let others bring you down, and stay positive in your mind's perspective with where you're trying to live out your life's meaning and your purpose out of your heart's value. That's what heart work is about. I love y'all, and thanks for being here and hearing what it means to me to have a sound mind. I hope y'all take something from this, because it's pertinent to me that someone might learn something from the words that I share, because I personally know that we all should, I want to personally live a more beautiful life than I've ever been able to with the people who are closest to me. And what I mean by that is right here, right now, all across this world, because the world is so small. So I hope this message reaches you well. Go live your life and be as happy as you can be today. God bless you all. Thanks for being here.
Caught you thinking I was just a free ride, cause you saw me downtown on the gold line. I ain't even gonna lie, I'ma go mine, and I don't try. Wanna get a piece of a good life, tryna turn me down like a nightlight, but I'm a shining star when I'm touched right, and I won't lie. All the demons' pretty faces don't know what my name is. Running free, they can't face this. Someday you remember my name. Oh, you're gonna wear me down with all the memories of you round. I can see it now that I can't trust this. There's no justice. Ooh, how you gonna feel this space right off the back? Gave up the chase. It's my saving grace that I can't trust this. There's no justice. Oh, 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 you're not the first, so I won't cry, won't say a prayer, I just say goodbye. There'll be another one of you when I blink my eyes, and I won't try. Are you kidding me? Did you lose your mind? Try to play it cool. cool and got pulled this time. I'll see you later in your dreams on the other side, and I don't lie. All the demons' pretty faces don't know what my name is. Running free, they can't face this. Someday you remember my name. Oh, you're gonna wear me down with all the memories of you around. I can see it now that I can't trust this. There's no justice. Ooh, are you gonna feel this pace right off the bat? Give up the chase. It's my saving grace that I can't trust this. There's no justice. There's no, but I can't trust this. There's no justice. There's no, but I